Now let's dive into our feature story of the day and continue talking about this 1 million Bitcoin buy. I'm going to read you some headlines right here. This headline, Saudi Aramco, SBI, explored digital asset investment collaboration, ultimately the largest oil company in the world out of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the largest bank coming out of Japan have a partnership to explore digital assets. We're going to be breaking this down. Also, some of the recent tweets from Max Kaiser we've been touching upon the past couple of pod episodes. Max says these two guys are loving the Bitcoin sale going on right now, referring to this dip. Wouldn't be surprised if major news hits the tape next week. And this was off the back of the post he did where he shares these two are teaming up to make Larry Fink, aka BlackRock, and Michael Saylor look like peanuts with a buy order of 1 million BTC and a $100,000 God candle. And this is ultimately the Prince of Saudi Arabia, another wealthy prince looking to team up to make a massive Bitcoin purchase. And also regarding this news, I have one word for you: 100,000 Bitcoin God candle fans. Qatar, the rumors are getting very loud on this. He just reiterated a couple of days ago, loving this price action. Wouldn't be surprised if big news hits the tape next week. And let's actually dive into this thread, because this is the thread that sparked all the controversy, so you can understand what we're talking about. He said, he wrote this on December 3rd, the God candle, $100,000 uptick in Bitcoin is in play. It'll shift the global access of wealth and power in a single tick. And you can see Qatar leader meeting with Bukele. This was a few months back at the end of 2023, and that news kind of went under the radar. So what are your thoughts on this? Do you think Qatar will be investing their sovereign wealth fund and putting it into Bitcoin? Because he shared here, to clarify and add clarity, my source said, Bitcoin makes our $500 billion sovereign wealth fund effectively worthless. We should just convert it all to Bitcoin. So apparently Max had a conversation with one of these people from Qatar, and he literally said Bitcoin makes our $500 billion sovereign wealth fund effectively worthless. We should just convert it all into Bitcoin. Now, hypothetically speaking, because again, this is currently just a rumor, there has been no confirmation coming out of Qatar or Saudi Arabia saying we're going to purchase 1 million Bitcoin, but this is an insider sharing some thoughts, and also I'm going to be sharing some headlines so we can read between the lines and try to decipher this for ourselves. So, and then someone wrote they can't, there's only 19 million. And then Max, I think he added some context here. But yeah, I mean, he makes a good point, because right now, what is there, 19.5 million Bitcoin in circulation. There's only like 2 million or less Bitcoin available on the exchanges. And purchasing 1 million Bitcoin may be impossible in a single purchase. But what if they made the announcement and they already started accumulating and we don't know, and their goal is ultimately to have 1 million Bitcoin, which would be roughly 5% of the circulating Bitcoin supply. I also like to point out something to give some context as well, that MicroStrategy currently holds roughly 200,000 Bitcoin, and they currently control 0.9% of the circulating Bitcoin supply, which is roughly 1%, which is the short-term goal. I also heard Max Kaiser share that MicroStrategy's goal is to ultimately control 5% of the Bitcoin supply, meaning MicroStrategy is looking to acquire a total of 1 million Bitcoin. So what if, game theory playing out in real time right now, MicroStrategy looking to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, Qatar looking to convert their $500 billion sovereign wealth fund into Bitcoin, and then Saudi Arabia, and like I said, we're going to be discussing the largest oil company in the world recently partnering with SBI Holdings to explore digital assets, knowing the #1 digital asset on the planet is Bitcoin. So what are your thoughts on that? Let me know. Other recent tweets, the GBTC Bitcoin rotation dance will soon hit equilibrium, which we're experiencing now that FTX has dumped 1 billion worth of their shares of GBTC, and new all-time highs will quickly follow. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this sentiment, that we're likely to see new all-time highs leading up to the Bitcoin halving within the next 90 days. He also says the net inflow into Bitcoin is rising, which is true. The rotation out of GBTC is masking a net increase in demand, which is true. We covered those stats earlier. An inflection point is imminent, $220,000 in play. My question for you, how high do you feel the Bitcoin price action will likely climb this year in 2024? Do you think we'll hit a new all-time high, 70 Gs? Do you think we'll hit 100,000, a massive milestone? Do you think we could hit as high as 220,000? Let me know, family. Other recent tweets he shared here, as I pointed out earlier, FTX is done selling. We got the word that FTX sold roughly 1 billion of Grayscale's Bitcoin ETF, explaining much of the outflows, and now the inflows are outpacing the outflows as the outflows will calm down. Also, this was an interesting story featured on CCN. Warren, talking about everyone's favorite senator, not Liz Warren, criticizes crypto's role in sanctions evasion. Max Keiser's response ruffles regulatory feathers. Now, if you don't know Max insights on Warren, you need to check out my timeline. This is censored type information, so I probably shouldn't read it to you out loud on YouTube, but maybe I can just show you one of the posts. Here is the throwback, February 18th. Max Keiser exposes Senator Warren for losing $350 billion. Whoa! How do you just lose $350 billion? Ask Liz Warren, because she did that, and this was a news broadcast that Keiser did back in May 2009, 1 year after the inception of Bitcoin, right? Or actually, was it the same year? When was the Genesis block, family? I know we had the financial collapse in 2008 with Lehman Brothers, and then shortly after there was a Genesis block, which may have been, I don't know, was that in January of 2009? So the same year of the inception of Bitcoin. But why I respect Max so much, he calls out the fraudsters and the hucksters, you know what I mean? The criminal enterprises at the very top that are doing very harmful things. So shout out to him. And what's kind of cool is I posted this on Elizabeth Warren's post yesterday. She posted here, some FUD. And then I responded in the thread and I posted Max Keiser's throwbacks, and it got a lot of love, 3,000 views, 69 hearts, and 10 replies. Now there was another post right underneath it. So this is hilarious. What Max Keiser thinks about Senator Warren, completely uncensored. I can't repeat what he says, but I strongly encourage you to check out this video if you'd like to hear what Max really thinks about Senator Liz Warren. And again, 3,000 views on the thread with Liz Warren. So I thought that was kind of hilarious, and I just wanted to share. But now let's actually read our featured story. Saudi, largest oil company in the world, SBI exploring digital asset investment collaboration. Let's go. And this was probably a couple of weeks back. This was back on December 11th, family. So this is actually a month and a half ago when this news was actually breaking. And I want to retouch upon it due to Max Keiser's tweets referring to this 100,000 God candle and a purchase of 1 million Bitcoin, so we can kind of connect the dots here. Last week, Japan's SBI and state-controlled energy firm Saudi Aramco announced they'll explore potential collaboration for digital assets and semiconductors. Additionally, SBI said it plans to set up an SBI Middle East in Riyadh as a base for operations in the Middle East. SBI recently announced a $100 million joint fund with Standard Chartered based out of Dubai. What's interesting is, guess who owns Standard Chartered as the primary shareholder? Bada boom, bada bing, BlackRock. So what do they all have in common? BlackRock just got into the Bitcoin game, right? They are the primary shareholder of Standard Chartered. And if you've been reading the headlines and listening to the podcast, Standard Chartered, extremely bullish on the prospect of Bitcoin, predicting a $200,000 Bitcoin price by the year 2025, so putting two and two together. SBI and Aramco will look at co-investing in each other's digital asset portfolios, and in this regard, SBI has a very substantial portfolio, although the Saudi's oil company should not be underestimated. Additionally, the SBI will look at identifying Japanese digital asset startups that want to expand their business in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Together, they would provide support. So a joint venture or partnerships exploring digital assets. So do they say directly we're getting into Bitcoin? No, they dumbed it down by saying digital assets. But again, what's the number one digital asset? Bitcoin. There's no second best. Now, Saudi Aramco is the world's second largest company in terms of revenue with a figure, second largest company in the world, family, $604 billion. They almost have as large of a market cap than Bitcoin at $800 billion. That's crazy. It was pipped by Walmart, which also had a $605 billion in net sales. Wow, $605 billion in net sales, Walmart, just in the year 2022. That's crazy. Now, stepping back when considering crypto in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia isn't the first destination one would think of. Turkey is the biggest in terms of activity, and the UAE has at least 3 crypto regulatory authorities. Dubai's VARA, Abu Dhabi's ADGM are the highest profiles. Now, what's interesting is we even had Kevin O'Leary share some insights on the mainstream a few weeks ago. We covered on the show that there is allegedly going to be an exchange that makes FTX and Binance look like child's play that was backed by multi-billionaire, investors, and that was supposed to be coming out of Abu Dhabi. I also question, are there going to be spot ETFs also launched in the Middle East, potentially out of Dubai, Abu Dhabi, maybe Saudi Arabia, Qatar, who knows? Let me know your thoughts on that, because we already got confirmation, we've covered it on the pod, that Hong Kong is launching an ETF. At least they're accepting applications and they're looking to get started in the race. They don't want to be left behind. Now, what this means is game theory likely to take place. So not only will we have the 11 asset managers competing and for your market share for the Bitcoin ETF, we're also going to have Hong Kong and potentially some others in the Middle East and potentially other areas around the world. So that says Saudi crypto activity is only a little behind the UAE. According to Chainalysis, it was the country experiencing the most year-on growth to June 2023 of 12%. And in contrast, Saudi doesn't have a crypto regulatory regime, but perhaps it is working on one. More than likely. What are your thoughts? Reports indicate regulators are warming to the concept, and in 2018, multiple Saudi regulators issued a decree warning against virtual currencies. Now, I think that might have been before the head guy released a fatwa, the head Muslim in charge of the 2 billion plus people, and now they deem it permissible, meaning Allah approves it, just another form of currency, and there's nothing wrong with it. So now they have the blessings of the Muslim community, and again, the Muslim community is probably north of 2 billion. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, it said there are no crypto-regulated entities, and they discourage promotion and trading. It described trading as unauthorized securities activities. However, it was not quite an outright ban on holding crypto. And in July, the Saudi Central Bank, SAMA, appointed a crypto chief, Mohsen Al-Zarani. However, one thoughtful analysis questioned whether he would be focused on crypto, and although the report expects some positive movements from other regulators. Now, SBI and Saudi Aramco referred only to digital assets, not cryptocurrency. Now, hence, it is conceivable the emphasis could be on tokenization, an area where SBI is extremely active as well. So they have a background with doing this. It founded the Osaka Digital Exchange, which is ODX, which will start trading tokenized securities on Christmas Day. And I guess this has already commenced because, again, this article was published right before Christmas. One could imagine the trading of tokenized oil contracts. Very interesting. Tokenized oil contracts. This could be a thing. However, that is our reading rather than a hint by the companies. So I think they're more than likely going to be investing into Bitcoin. Otherwise, they'd be missing out, and they would allow all these other juggernauts to ultimately outdo them and leave them behind. So I think they got to get their feet in the game if it's not already, and they just haven't announced it. Now, Saudi blockchain investments, let's discuss this. While we've regularly reported on SBI's digital asset investments, Saudi Aramco has a few in the blockchain, such as VAKT, is post-trade solution for the oil sector. And Data Gumbo uses blockchain for operational efficiencies. TradeGo is one of the 9 approved electronic bill of lading providers. Now, we previously reported it was an investor in Red Date Tech, the company behind the blockchain-based services network and the Chinese international public blockchain networks that avoid using cryptocurrencies. It invested in Saudi-based IR4 Lab, which provides document and supply solutions using the blockchain. So they're already invested in blockchain tech, fam. The most Web3 collaboration was one announced by Drop Labs back in March that discussed tokenization and Web3 rewards. Meanwhile, Santa Bill, the $3 billion fund owned by the government's public investment fund, is an indirect crypto investor. It mainly invests in other funds with half its assets in venture capital. They include commitments of crypto-focused Huan and blockchain capital, as well as several other VCs with major crypto portfolios such as Anderson Horowitz, Coatue, and Tiger Global. So there you have it. My crypto fam, what are your thoughts surrounding this massive partnership between the largest oil company in the world, as well as the largest Bank of Japan partnering in tokenization, oil potentially, getting into Bitcoin eventually? Let me know, family. And now let's read some of those comments. out loud.